cinnamon chips. Anyone want to read the objectives on the top of your worksheet? Henry, go for it.
Become more familiar with the kitchen, location of equipment, proper lab procedures, and kitchen safety.
Keep on going.
Learn basic skills like chopping, dicing, and peeling. To practice teamwork and cooperation with food groups.
Okay, the ingredients. There's a couple notes I want you to take on your recipe and some things that you're going to have to cross out. You are going to get 1 kiwi, 1 apple. I might cut it in half because oftentimes if I give you a whole apple, then you're throwing out a lot of fruit salsa at the end of the period. So we'll see tomorrow how hungry you are. 4 ounces raspberries and strawberries. What I did instead of just giving you a separate amount, you're going to be getting a mixture of already thawed out berries. Okay, so they're not going to be frozen. Okay, and this is a combination of raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries. There might be a few strawberries. It just depends upon the mixture that you get from the grocery store. You need 2 teaspoons white sugar, a teaspoon brown sugar, a tablespoon of fruit preserve. So this is grape, but you can use pretty much any kind of fruit preserve, like strawberry or peach or cherry. Okay. 4 flour tortillas. Tomorrow you're going to be getting 2. If you had a smaller ones, you would be getting 4. Okay, so these are pretty big. And then lastly, cinnamon sugar. You're going to be getting cinnamon sugar in this container right here that you'll be able to sprinkle on there. We are not going to start on number 1 because I want to make the chips first. That way they are in the oven so that you guys can be able to sample them. So turn it to the back. Number 7, cut the flour tortillas into wedges. That is letter B, so you probably want to write that down. Letter B. To cut these, I lay them on a cutting board. Okay? You can use a knife, but tomorrow I want you to use a pizza cutter because number 1, it goes much quicker and it's definitely more precise. So when you use a pizza cutter, I'm just going to take this and cut it down the middle. So you have to use kind of a lot of pressure, okay, so that you go through both layers. Then I'm going to flip these, okay, turn this, and then cut this down the middle. Okay. Then I can take this, and I'll do this kind of one at a time because you don't want too many layers, and you're going to create wedges. You can make them a little smaller if you want, but that's going to take too long, so I would suggest that they're this size. Okay? From there, what I did is this is parchment paper I used from last period. I have 2 baking sheets with parchment paper on there. You can reuse parchment paper. All it is cooking spray and cinnamon on here. But I'm just going to layer them so that you get a lot on there. Okay? So you can see that I'm kind of turning them so that they all fit.
Are those going to stick together?
Did you say they're going to stick together? No, because these do not expand in the oven. So you're not going to have these sticking on top of one another. Okay. And then the same thing here. Okay. Number 8 is I'm arranging the wedges, which I just did. That is everyone. Everyone's going to be helping to do that. Number 9, spray the cooking spray on the flour tortillas and sprinkle with the cinnamon sugar. This is going to be letters D as in dog and C as in cat. So both of you are going to be working together. So I'm going to take the cooking spray. Okay? And oftentimes when I see you guys spray, you spray really close. You want to spray a little bit higher so that you get the cooking spray on the whole surface. And then you do the same thing here. Once that is done, why do you think I spray them with cooking spray? What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that? Corey?
So the cinnamon will stick to them?
Yeah, so the cinnamon will stick. And then I'm just going to be sprinkling this on. So I shouldn't see a ton of cinnamon sugar on here. Shouldn't be using this whole container. That would be bad.
That'd be like really powdery.
Now, cinnamon sugar. Can someone tell me, do I use more cinnamon? Do I use more sugar? Raise your hand. What do you think? Zach. That's a good guess. You do not use the same because it'd be too strong. Carly.
Sugar?
Yeah, you use a little bit more sugar. So I would suggest you write this down. I took 1 cup of sugar and about 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. That's gonna last you a long, long time. But what else could I use cinnamon sugar on? What else could I use cinnamon sugar on?
How much cinnamon?
1 cup sugar to 2 tablespoons cinnamon. And again, everything in moderation, so if you want to put it on waffles, or what else could you do? We're making snickerdoodles in 8th grade. Zach? Toast, yeah. Okay? So I just keep it in these containers and you can kind of use it when you want. Pretzels, when we make soft pretzels. These are then going to go in the oven. Can you tell me what temperature the oven should be on? Nick?
350 degrees.
350 degrees. So flip to the front. That number is going to be already done for you. It's already preheated. Do I set my timer on the stove or on the microwave? Microwave. Okay. Why do I tell you to do that? Why do I tell you to set your timer on the microwave instead of the stove? Riley.
I'm sorry. Is it because if one beat goes off, another beat goes off, and
Good guess. Henry.
Is it like where, like, if you set the timer, like it goes, the heating goes away? Like, if you start
Oh
setting the
yeah.
timer,
If sometimes if you set the timer on your stove, in years past you've accidentally turned the stove off. So I'd rather you just not touch the stove and set it on the microwave. Okay. Number 2, this is going to be already done for you, but if you're at home and you're making this, you're going to have to do that step. I just defrosted. That's what I'm worried about. How are you doing?
Just gonna lay down there, Mark? They comfortable?
He is.
7th grade.
What you need to do is defrost the berries in the fridge. It's just easier, okay? But you don't need to do that step, so you can cross it out. Number 3, you're also going to cross out cut defrosted strawberries. We don't have any big strawberries to cut. Again, if you're making this at home, you probably want to cut the frozen strawberries out. Number 4, you're going to be peeling the kiwi and cutting into small bite-sized pieces, letter C. Kiwi is kind of, I would say, one of the hardest things to peel and cut, so I'm going to show you a way that I actually peel and cut the kiwi. Do we know the main vitamin in a kiwi? What is the main vitamin in a kiwi? What do we think? Nick, take a guess. C. There's a ton of vitamin C in here, meaning it helps with colds, especially at this time of the season. It helps with your immune system, okay? When you cut this, the chef's knife is not a good knife for this because you notice how small this is and how large the knife is. So instead, I use a paring knife, and you will find a lot of them in this box of knives, okay, and crinkle cutters and apple cores. So when I cut the kiwi, I'm just going to cut the bottom off like this, and I'm going to cut the top off like this. Okay. Then I set it so that it's not going to be moving around, and then I'll see if I can zoom in a bit. Okay.
Can you potato cut it like the potato peeler?
Good question. No, because the skin is too thick and your peel is going to get very dull and you're going to be frustrated. So do not peel the kiwi with this. Okay? Now, let me show you what you need to do. With your knife, you're going to carefully go around the kiwi cutting off the skin, okay? As close as you can to the skin so you don't waste a lot of the flesh of the fruit. Okay? That's what it's called, guys.
That's funny.
Okay? So I'm
That's what
just,
I was thinking of. What's
You don't want to
so
waste
flesh?
now, when you cut this, you notice I have no skin on here. It's cut perfect. Instead of cutting it now and chopping it, I need to throw out all this peel. Oftentimes I see you guys with a messy cutting board and then you're not cutting it properly. When you cut this, you cut it down the middle. So I have two sides. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to cut it into 3 slices, and then I'm going to just create small dices like this.
Slice it.
This is the easiest way to cut a kiwi. Okay. Then from there, you want bite-sized pieces. I'm going to be putting it in this bowl. If you have larger pieces, then it's going to be hard with your tortilla to actually get the pieces on the chip. Okay. Then the apple, you want to actually, like Henry said, take the peeler and you're going to be peeling the apple. I would suggest you do not leave the skin on for this because we have a lot of softer types of fruit and you don't want that crunchy, hard peel. I think that would taste a little odd. So, I make sure there's no apple on this peel. No. And then I start to peel this. Okay.
Whose job is it?
This is going to be D.
That looks fun.
What's B?
D as in dog. I said 4 already. So I'm peeling the apple. Notice, what am I peeling this on?
A paper towel.
Okay, and even with the paper towel, I kind of make a mess. So, try your best to peel on the paper towel. You're noticing that I'm rotating the apple as I go around. You need to make sure when you're peeling this, oftentimes you guys kind of peel it really lightly and then you're telling me the peeler is not sharp enough. You have to kind of firmly hold the peel so the peel is going to come off. Okay? And then at the bottom, try your best to get the majority of the peel off. Now, you take the peel and you throw that in the garbage. Oftentimes, like I said, I see people starting to chop on there. Okay? So we want to make sure you keep as neat as possible. Now, just like I cut that kiwi, I'm going to take now the chef's knife, okay, and I'm going to cut the bottom off. Why do I do that? Why do I do that,
Because
PJ?
you don't want to get the stem or the little black
Yeah,
part
that's
of the
true.
bottom.
That's partially true. What else? Clara?
So it doesn't roll around.
Yeah, so it doesn't roll around. It's nice and sturdy. You can use the apple core if you want, but I'll just show you a quicker way to do this. We know the core of the apple is pretty big, so you want to kind of cut around that. So I'm just going to cut one slice, turn it, cut another slice, turn it, cut another one, and then the last one. Throw that away in the garbage. I have 4 pieces. I want to get those into smaller cubes. So I always turn it so that it lays nice and flat. If I started to cut it like this, you see how it's wobbly? That's why I always make sure that it's laying flat. Then I'm going to take this, slice it, and then make small dices. Okay. Move this to the side like this, and then continue chopping. Okay. And always turn it. And then again, move it to the side. Okay. So I can move my hands away like this. And you see how I'm moving them like that? And try to get these pretty small. Tomorrow you might have just a half of an apple. And then I put this in this bowl. Okay, see how I'm taking the cutting board? I'm not taking the pieces and trying to pour that in there. It takes too long. Okay. On the back. In a large mixing bowl, thoroughly mix kiwi, apple, raspberry, strawberries, 2 teaspoons white sugar, a teaspoon brown sugar, and a tablespoon fruit preserve. A. So I have the fruit preserve. I'm gonna throw out the rest of, or this paper cup. I'm gonna take the berries, again, throw out the cup. Oh, you can't see, guys, sorry. And then I'm gonna take 2 teaspoons of white sugar. You don't need to use this much. If you want to, you can. Yeah, I'm gonna use a little less. And then a teaspoon of brown sugar. But again, you can use a little bit less. Okay. It's that. Sit in the other room. Back. Sit in the other room, please. You are gonna stir this so that it's all mixed up, okay? Because you want to dissolve that sugar. And it's gonna kind of create kind of like a glaze for the fruit. So I already did the cinnamon chips. You will notice on your recipe, everything that is starred needs to be done at the same time. So you shouldn't be watching A mix everything up. Someone should be cutting the tortillas because you're gonna be eating tomorrow. This is not a 2-day lab. So you have a lot you need to accomplish in that amount of time. You will be using paper plates and styrofoam cups, and you won't have a ton of dishes to wash. Corey.
What did you say, who did you say would do number 6?
A, letter A, okay? So the cinnamon tortilla chips should be coming out of the oven. I'll show you how to arrange it around this platter, okay? And then we'll go from there. So number 13, you asking?
Oh, I'm just asking who does 10 through 13.
Hold on 1 minute.
Like a silence, please.
I try.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I know.
saw it.
So those I'm gonna be putting right on the stove like this. Okay. And then I'll tell you who is in charge of the other numbers. So we already did 7, 8, and 9. 10 we said to cross out. Number 11 is A. Number 13 is C. So to serve this, what you're gonna do, 12 is cross out. I'm sorry, because you don't have time to cool this. If you're at home and you have, a ton of time, you're watching TV, then you can cool it.
C is 13.
13.
I'm E and I don't
No, E doesn't have a job. Okay. What job would you like?
C goes twice.
Yeah, I know. It's the 5.
I think E
I'm letter
should
E.
11. I think E should do 11.
Why?
No,
Just put it in the oven. How about
Wait, what about?
How about number 6 is gonna be A and E together? You can help kind of measure all that and PJ. Number 3 on the front, cross that out. Okay. Now, when you arrange this in your letter C, you're gonna take your fruit salsa, put it in the bowl if you want a couple spoons, and then you're gonna arrange the chips around here. When you set your table, okay? When you set your table, kitchen 1 is gonna be where Riley's seated, kitchen 2, Rachel, 3, Carly, Mark, you're in kitchen 4, 5, and 6, okay? So if you forget tomorrow, I can remind you. No, I'm just saying where you sit tomorrow, okay? That's table 4 for kitchen 4, okay? So on the back, it says, check your knowledge. Number 1, we didn't really use a food scale, but if you are at home and you want that precise measurement of 4 ounces, you cannot measure 4 ounces in your measuring cups. So has anyone used a science scale?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can use, there's also a food scale that you can use. So we're gonna kind of skip over that one. 2, the purpose of cooking spray, you already told us. Number 3, what nutrients would your body benefit? So we talked about vitamin C. Okay. How about in the tortilla chips? What is the main vitamin in that? Grains. Main vitamin in grains. You remember? It increases your energy. Vitamin. Nick, you want to guess?
Oh, I don't know the vitamin, but isn't it carbohydrates?
Yeah, it's a carbs, good. And it's vitamin B, so write that down.
I thought it was
Vitamin B. Henry.
How come there's a muffin?
I think it's someone's from 8th or 9th grade.
I made it just for you.
Wait, where did?
Yeah, we're not period.
Number 4. Okay, when would you serve this recipe? You guys can write that down. Okay, I don't know. Maybe in the summer or maybe for a little kind of dessert after dinner. Okay? So what I want you to do now is that green worksheet I told you to get. You need to work with your groups that you're in now. I'm going to be cutting up some of the tortillas for you to eat. Okay?
Really?
Are we gonna eat salad?
Yes, we are. But what I want you to do is, first of all, everyone needs to go to their kitchens and wash their hands.
Slimy hands.
Clara, turn the lights on, please.
Miss G.
Turn them.